me, Helene Murray. Could I have a round of applause, please?
I tend to look at my flaws, and as I said tonight in the show, I could be embarrassed about these things, or I can flip it and go, isn't that funny? Because usually people can relate to that.
I was head shit kicker. That's what I had to do. I had to actually drive on a small Fergie tractor and push all the shit around. Don't do that in Australia. That farmer didn't maintain her tractors very well. And so I used to have to let down this makeshift grader. It was a big half tyre, and I had to let it, it didn't have brakes. So I had to let it down just in enough time to not slam into buildings. Sometimes I didn't get the timing right.
The nerves I had before the show tonight were incredible, wanting to vomit, you know, partly because what I've learned this time around is I've got to put less space between my performances, because I haven't performed for a while, and so I've got to rebuild. And, you know, why I do it, I guess, is that feeling of I've made people laugh. People that come up later and say that was really good, and they've had a good time.
When I travel to Asian countries, I'm travelling back, when I go back to Australia, I'm travelling into Vietnam. And what I love about the Vietnamese is that they're very friendly, open people, and they will comment on what they see. Let's face it, I'm probably twice the size of any average Vietnamese person. And so one day I was crossing the road, I like this, and I was going to get a Diet Coke from the vendor. And this lady, who was very friendly, as I get close to her, to buy my Diet Coke, she says, she wanted to hug me. And we get to this position and she says, "Hello, many kilo." I was really in a dilemma. Do I squeeze a bit harder?
I think my personality doesn't change as such, but I think I really come into my full personality on stage. And part of the discovery of coming into this, I'm 44, and so, this is 2012, therefore, you know how old I was when I got into this. So my personality almost has been developed by, or evolved by the comedy, which is awesome.
So who's been to Vietnam? Yeah? And did you have clothes made there? Yes. Now, I don't know if you can tell, but I'm not really into clothes. I don't really care, right? But I got caught up in getting some made. That whole palaver of sketching with the tailors and they cut them out, etc. There is an entire show of fashion disaster stories right there. And I'll just share with you one. Do you know Thai fisherman's pants? You know the ones? They're lovely, aren't they? You just put yourself in them and tie it up. Beautiful. I was with my friend who I forgot. She's a lot smaller than me. And they look great on her, and I said, "Oh, I'll be happy some of those things." So they measured me up. Can I say, I just didn't expect, when I went back to get them 2 days later, that they would look like this. And I'll just share, I've actually never worn them. I kept them to show you as a comedy prop. That'd be alright, that thin one, but look. I said, "They're not my fisherman." "Yeah, they are your fisherman, Pam."
Animals and children and older people are magnificent in their ability to show you something funny.
Those that have been to Australia, have you been close to a koala? Yes. Oh wow, yes. And were they stoned at the time? Yeah, pretty much. Was it in a zoo? Yeah, sort of. Yeah, absolutely. Because You know what happens there? They just give them so much gum length that they are stoned. Because you must never in the wild go near them. I got scratched around the face. I was brought up to think you could cuddle them too, but no. They need to be stoned first. All my life, all early life, I told stories about kangaroos based on what my nan taught me. The kangaroos on her farm were awesome, absolutely awesome. One bounded alongside her brother who was riding a horse once and pulled him off. Pulled him down off the horse. God, if my nan knew that I said that.
There are places where you're not supposed to laugh, yeah, and so of course I want to, funerals. I have several funeral stories that are, I think, hilarious because you just don't expect to laugh there, and people did laugh and funny things happen. So I think sometimes I go, and I need to try and be appropriate or apologise to the person I've just laughed out loud with when it's not so, not supposed to be funny.
I've got to have a big sleep, Mum. I had 14 hours. You had 14 hours sleep, and you go, Mum, I can't believe it. And she goes, oh, well, you must have needed it. I thought, oh, wow. Wouldn't it be good if that were my mum's response to more stories that I've told her? But Mum, I went out last night and I had 9 pieces of KFC on the trot. Vomited up on the bench, and I think I've got food poisoning. Oh, you must have needed it, darling. Mum, I went out last Saturday and I drank and I drove. I got pulled up by the police. I had to sleep with 2 of them. And they still arrested me. Oh, you must have needed it, darling.
That's really. Do you know? I was just saying to someone today that so he asked me because I practice in front of him, and it's always weird practicing in front of one person. He said, "How do you normally practice?" And I said, "Well, it's a mixture of gigging, but also I literally am having conversations about it. There's an idea." And I'll just throw it into a conversation, and if people laugh, I'll go, oh, see, that's got legs. But if they don't, I then go, I don't always throw it out immediately because I just mightn't have said it the way I was thinking it, or the person just didn't find it funny, but the next person might. So try not to throw anything in.
I'm curious about why cows chew their cud in a... I'm waiting for your mouth to move and your eyebrow went like that. I've never seen a cow do that. They chew their cud in a mostly clockwise direction. Yeah, look, see, people start to go, start testing the theory.
Hell no. No, well, and I don't think, no, and I don't attempt to do political humour because I think I might get that wrong.
Do you have chocolate fairs here? We basically just had a big shed of chocolate to just go around, and I announced to my friends that I had gouged myself with chocolate all day. They laughed like you did, and I went, what? Oh. And I was probably gouging my food again. And I had to stand up and just move back and get a glass of water to shift the blockage. And the big fella, 2 people down from me, says, are you alright? Do you need a hymen lick? And I do remember where I learned what black comedy was. Someone said to me, do you enjoy black comedy? I said, oh yeah, I'm a big fan of Bill Cosby. Good Lord. And other strange things come out of it. The reason I'm telling you this is, A, you've laughed, or some of you have, and B, I could be embarrassed about it, couldn't I? Or I could go, gee, that's funny. Funny way to look at things.
I work in ageing and community there. I have for 15 years, and I'm passionate about ageism, or not wanting ageism to be there. But I can't work out the comedy yet. But that's where I would use the stage, because I can't really stand that sort of thing. But I get cross about it, so until I can work out how to make that funny, I won't be going on stage cross. So yeah, I certainly will. I'm looking forward to using the stage to make a comment. I was talking about sleep deprivation tonight because I have been sleep deprived. Most of the time I've been sleeping in different beds and things, and I've been lucky. I'm staying with a friend whose auntie is cooking for us, so that's been really, when I'm staying there, because I haven't been staying in another place as well. So I've got to try to remember to drink enough water and to eat as well as possible. So it's actually a challenge, to be honest. But once I learned, and I mentioned it again, once I learned to not use alcohol as a pre-thing, that's improved things out of sight.
Sleep deprivation is a really big problem, and I have a theory. I have a theory that, because when I'm sleep deprived, I have really angry thoughts, and I'm really, really aggressive and horrible, and I thought, well, that's what's happened then. That's why Hitler was such a shit. He didn't get enough sleep. That's why Margaret Thatcher pissed so many people off in this country. She obviously didn't get enough sleep. Edema, yeah, my face swells, my hands swell, a lot of other places swell. Even my butt swells, and that's totally unnecessary. Sometimes my lips, honestly, they look like I've got my hoo-ha on my face sideways. Now there's a visual that you were looking for.
I'm heading back to Australia to create myself a little rural tour. So I've spoken to my hometown that I grew up in, and I'm going to get in on their art centre events, and I've spoken to another town, and the initial discussions suggest that will be good, because I can negotiate with each town, because they're going into Melbourne. You can plug away for years because you're trying to get bums on seats. Some people use television, don't they, to sort of get, if you do that. I thought I'll get the country behind me, and then I have more of a name, and then I can maybe do big in the city festivals again. Probably the two things I'd say is, as people have said to me, just keep doing it, be yourself, and I'll tack on the end, because my belief is that this world is big enough for as many performers who want to be, because there are some people who don't, and there are some who do, and I would say, as a third thing, that no one really has a right to tell you that you can't do that, if indeed that's what you want.
So you know that we in Australia talk about this region of the female body as being our map of Tasmania. I don't have the shape of a map of Tasmania in this region of my body, nor anywhere else on my body. That would be weird. I have more like the shape of the entire wilderness area of Tasmania. I can't show you, because that would be an arrestable offence, wouldn't it? The Wilderness Society would call this wild country, you know, a logger's paradise and all those sort of things. And so, and as someone said, yes, Helene, and the older you get, the more old growth you'll have. I was seeing this fellow. He came over to see me one night for a cuddle. It was 2 in the morning, and I was very drunk. I know, it's a classy type of individual, I like to see. And more to this chap was that he chewed chewing gum. Those poor boys, it's happened to them. No, honestly. Honestly, the next day I was quite terrified. I didn't know what was going on. Every time I threw one leg out of bed, the other one ricocheted back toward the other. By the time I had cut that chewing gum out, with a pair of manicure scissors, it was like, have you ever seen cropping circles? Do you know what? I told my mum.